Hi, Marc, and welcome to Barcelona and your first Canalys forum.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, you've been in your role now as SVP for Secure Power for Europe for Schneider Electric for about 9 months.
Yes. Yep.
Can you tell us what you've learned? What have been the challenges? What are the opportunities?
So, every day is a learning day. That's what I'm finding at the moment. And so in the role, I've got responsibility for the data center strategy across Europe, and then our strategy into the IT channels and how we sell into broader channels across Europe as well. It's a real learning experience every day. So I've worked in the UK for 4 years in the secure power role. Had a really good understanding of what the UK market looked like and the challenges in the UK market. Step into Europe and every country is different. 27 different countries, all with different routes to market, different challenges within there, the economic challenges that we see today as well. So it's been really interesting. I see, as I travel from country to country, I see very different styles, very different customers in terms of the channels that we engage with, and then the market leaders within those channels. So it's an exciting place to be. I've got to say, so I didn't come from the IT channel market, IT channel business. I've grown up in Schneider for 18 years and predominantly in the electrical distribution side of the business. So when I moved into secure power and IT 5 years ago now, it was a bit of a shock to the system. New customers, new names. I didn't have any of the relationships and the connections that I had in the previous role. And it's a very different world to the electrical world. But it's hugely dynamic. It's one of the things that I enjoyed most about working in this industry is the dynamism. Mm-hmm. Lots of fresh challenge that comes on the back of it, and we're having a tough year this year as channel business. But then you've got the other side of the coin where the data center, the cloud industry, it's flying, it's booming, and you've got two very different markets. Up and down in different places and different geographies. It's a good place to be.
It's a good place to be. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it's been a fascinating 9 months as well, from what you just said. And yeah, what's maybe been the biggest thing that surprised you? What's been the biggest surprise for you in the last 9 months?
That's a good question. I think for me it's around, and I don't know whether it's a surprise. The conversation that we're all having, and we'll no doubt have 40 times tomorrow will be about AI, but the acceleration of AI and how fast that's come into the equation, into the conversation that everyone's having. That's really surprised me, because it was lesser known last year. We've all been using it. We all see it in our when we do our expenses or when we're doing emails. You're getting an element of AI supporting you and giving you suggestions within there. Now what's happening though, the difference between inference and this training AI is fascinating. And it's, again, when I talk about the exciting aspect of the business, we've got a really exciting few years ahead of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually we think about the data center. What's your view? Can you share your view on the role that AI is going to play in the data center and what that means for the industry? Because, and that's burst onto the scenes, like you say, very quickly. And obviously, data center operators are rapidly developing that capacity as well.
And I don't think anyone really has a definitive answer around it, and I certainly don't. I can tell you what I see and what I think will happen on the back of it. Almost certainly, we're going to see dedicated AI data centers start to pop up. And it's because of the technology that's going to be used within those data centers. If you've got high density compute, 70 kilowatts per rack, you can't have the same infrastructure to support it as we would do a normal data center. So you'll see very bespoke, specific data centers pop up. I'm interested to see where this market starts to expand into, because I think there's a huge opportunity to look at the existing estate that we have across Europe. Smaller data centers, the 2 to 5 megawatts that have been in existence for a while now. As you start to refurbish those and start to drive them towards a more sustainable infrastructure, is there opportunity then to repurpose some of that smaller? You've got the power, but then you use the smaller facility for high density compute to go in there. It's a good opportunity to look at how we repurpose some of the existing data center estate that we have. I think liquid cooling is going to burst onto the scene rapidly. Are we ready for it? Then some parts of the market, yes. I think this understanding of what AI is actually going to be for us. So when we talk about the high density compute aspect, my view is that it's probably around about 15% of what's actually going to come into the market. So the rest of it will be inference, and they'll be using all of that data that's been generated and managing it. And that changes the dynamic of a data center. Do you need the resilience for training and the inference piece? So maybe the way data centers are designed going forward starts to change on the back of it, not just around the cooling aspect, but around the N-1. Do you need as much redundancy within the data center, particularly at an AI level?
No, that makes sense. And then obviously Schneider has a huge focus on sustainability as well. What do you think the role that sustainability will play with AI? There's opportunities and challenges for sustainability on both sides of the AI coin. I think we wasn't really seeing that increase, like you say, of data, the power cooling aspect, but it's also going to drive a lot of support of sustainability and more sustainable business practices. So I'd be interested to hear what your view is there as well.
So I'm going to plug Canalys here as well for you on the back of this, but I'm fascinated with some of the reports that you've been sending out recently around sustainability, and more broadly than just the data center industry, the IT industry as a whole. I think this one came out today, and it was talking around about 47% of the population is ready to generate revenue on the back of sustainability, but that's over half of our industry that's not ready to do something about it. And I think it's a real challenge that we've got to start to look at more broadly ESG and then sustainability at the environmental level. Again, these are stats that but I think there's a number that I saw a couple of months back that had only 19% of our IT customers have women in leadership roles. And that's a significant change that needs to happen within our industry around not just the environmental sustainability, but change in terms of the business models and how do we drive ESG at a more productive level and in line with some of our other industries. To go back to the question you asked me around the AI piece, it's a huge opportunity. So I think there's two sides to the coin that you have with sustainability. Yes, our industry and cloud and service providers, the big data centers, even the edge infrastructure, the high users of energy. We can't get away from that. But if we use the data right that's being generated, and you need the centers to support the data. So you can't separate the two around it. You need that infrastructure there that's going to draw on a lot of power and be inherently a challenge from a sustainability angle. But if we start to embed that data into machine learning, into AI, you start to get productivity on the back of it. The productivity is key. If you plug that into our grid and you think around how you source your energy today, predominantly it comes from a power station. In the next 5 years, you may be pulling that same power that you're using today from your neighbour who's gone on holiday and isn't using their solar panels. So you need some dynamism going into the grid, some connectivity. And at the moment, we don't have that infrastructure in place. You can only put that infrastructure in place if you've got the data to support that machine learning, that AI infrastructure that allows you to swap your draw from the grid or your draw of energy at different levels. So yes, we're always going to be a challenge from a sustainable angle. We're always going to be high energy users, but the IT industry, the cloud and service provider industry, the data that it supports is key to driving a more sustainable infrastructure and more sustainable future for everyone.
Yeah, I think we recognise that as well. We see that actually the amount of data that AI will create will also allow us to really understand the emissions much more effectively than we currently are, and that actually that those huge data lakes that will be created and are being created, AI will be able to help support a lot of the emission tracking and emission reductions, and people understanding where they sit and where they need to act as well. I think we absolutely see that as an opportunity.
And you think about CSRD.
Yeah.
This is a huge challenge for our whole industry going forward. Scope 1 and Scope 2, you need to have more sensors, more data collection points to be able to measure your usage, to turn that into actionable insights, and start to drive a behaviour change within your organisations going forward. CSRD, I think, you look at the challenges it's going to pose to almost every business out there, and within the next 3-4 years, the big businesses are starting to report from next year onwards. It's going to be really difficult. There's going to have to be a lot of investment that goes into existing buildings and into distribution centres, into your business models to be able to meet those criteria. It's a fascinating challenge in that you've got you can't have growth without sustainability. You need to marry the two together. If we look at it properly and take it on a very serious level, it can be a growth engine for your business, because at Schneider Electric, we're looking at it. How do we start to reduce our carbon footprint within each of our products? So when we sell it onto one of our distributors who sells it onto a reseller, we've got a lower carbon footprint in that product, and thus a lower Scope 3 emission. We need to track and measure all of that. As we become more sustainable as businesses, it creates a business edge for all of our customers and for us as a company.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fascinating. You bring CSRD up. We are really seeing partners now coming to us saying, we need to be ready. And our customers have started and woken up to it. And I think suddenly that has been a sea change of attitude, especially amongst their larger customers who recognise that they are actually going to be liable and need to have a plan and need to be reporting. And actually that's a huge challenge for many of them. And I think you're right. I think there is going to be a sea change there. I think there is going to be an awful lot of opportunity for people like yourselves, or also the partners, to be able to support their customers as well. And not doing it will also impact their ability to stay competitive.
Absolutely.
As well.
It's that piece. One of the things that I think Schneider has a competitive edge in this space is that we've got the consultancy to be able to go into businesses, spend time with them, understand their infrastructure as it is today, identify the low-hanging fruit. Where's the areas that you can go and invest quickly and get some returns on the investment, get yourself better prepared for CSRD. But beyond the consultancy aspect, we've got the operationalization of it, the products that are ready, the technology that's there to be able to deploy a more sustainable infrastructure on the back of the design and the consultancy work that we do. I think it's a key part of it, and in terms of how we develop our engagement with our partners. And when I look at the IT industry, I think it's a really interesting opportunity there. We work with so many different partners from country to country to country. They're all end users in their own right. We look at them as partners and we engage with them as partners. Can we work with them at a consultancy level to pass on some of the experience and the expertise we have around sustainability and give them some advice and support to help support their sustainable agenda within their own businesses?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what a lot of partners are also looking for that support. What do you also see maybe as the opportunity of partners in AI as well? That's a lot of them are also having those same conversations about, we're all talking about it, but where is the opportunity? Where do you see it from a Schneider perspective of partners?
It's because we all automatically jump to the big infrastructure, don't we? And this is what AI is going to drive. I see a huge opportunity there because I'm having a lot of conversation at the moment around network edge. So this distributed IT infrastructure that's there to support local community, autonomous vehicles. You need to have that distributed IT spread around a city. Do you need the training and within that space? Maybe not, but the inference, the use of that data and having it locally, then I think there is opportunity there, and that's smaller IT infrastructure. So maybe 5-10 racks, maybe a micro data center that's in a specific place with a slightly higher density within it. I think there is huge opportunity to go and develop this market. Everyone's trying to work out how to play in it at the moment, but you think around the modularization of the IT infrastructure in the stack. Maybe you don't need 70 kilowatts on day one, but then the build up of it, and how the modularization of a UPS and rack mounted GPS makes a huge amount of sense in that space. PDUs that are used within that infrastructure, is it what we need today, or is there a change in what that looks like? So I think there's huge opportunity for someone to take a lead within that. I also think there's a really big opportunity for the industry and for our partners to create new alliances. So you think of the convergence of IT and OT.
Yep.
There's massive opportunity there where we play it maybe ever so slightly, or we dip into it and dip out of it. A lot of the conversations I have within our IT industry, within the partners, tends to be traditional IT markets. But every building is going to be, the infrastructure around everything is going to be built on an IT and a power backbone. They need the power for the building. The IT is going to support all the building control, all the sensors in there. Our buildings will become living, breathing things in the future that will have a level of intelligence in there that isn't reliant on you and me as an individual. It's reliant on the learning, the AI piece that starts to drive the operational efficiency and a better consumption of the power that's going into that building. And I think that's a real opportunity for our IT partners to play in, because we just don't. It's a conversation that isn't happening every day. IT and facilities management need to be around the same table to be able to build a building for the future, or a industrial unit for the future.
Yeah, completely. And we're really starting to see some of that beginning to happen with. We're seeing more and more partner-to-partner engagements, particularly where maybe the transacting partner doesn't have that skill set. Then we'll go and bring in other partners. But I think there's a lot more that could be done, as you say. So there's a good call to action there to get the partners talking to each other a bit more.
Absolutely, and I think this is where Schneider as a business can really help, because we have many different divisions across Schneider Electric, but we have an industrial division that works with the machine builders, with industrial end users. And I think this, if you look at semiconductor, if you look at car manufacturing and pharmaceuticals, all segments that require huge amounts of data, huge amount of connectivity. There's robotics in the infrastructure that's relying on an IT background. I think there's great opportunity for us to work with our partners to try and introduce them into new customers. Again, there's buildings division, we have our sustainability division. So it's on us, and a real challenge within our business is how do we bring different conversations to the IT industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Marc, for sharing. I think fascinating to hear, and I think there's like you say, a wealth of opportunity out there. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the conference. And
Thank you very much.